the tall, gangly thing?
Hello and welcome. Today I am joined by one of the 32 competitors that's going to be facing off in the mid-set finale in just a couple days. That is JIRACHY. JIRACHY, thank you so much for being here with me today.
Oh my God, thank you so much for having me on. I'm actually so excited to be here.
So for anyone who may not be super familiar with who you are, why don't we just go ahead first and tell us a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, my name's JIRACHY. My pronouns are they, them. I'm non-binary. I've been playing TFT since set 1. Kind of got into it just to like, hey, this game exists. Let's just have some fun. And I started getting really good around like set 3 and hit Masters for the first time. I didn't hit Challenger until set 4 though. Around that time, I was like, okay, we're getting into this. And it was also something to do for me during COVID. And so like I was using COVID kind of as a chance to like, hey, I have nothing better to do. I was supposed to go to grad school, but I decided, hey, let's not start a new degree program during a pandemic. So during all this time, like I have nothing better to do. We were just, hey, let's see how far we can push TFT. So I hit Challenger set 4, hit I believe rank 4 in set 4.5, and then ended up going to regionals, got 9th there, and now I'm here, and now I'm playing in mid set and having another shot at regionals. Yeah.
That's right. Awesome. And we're going to talk about mid-set in just a little bit, but we're on the last patch of set 5. So I kind of want to talk a little bit about the meta. How do you feel like the landscape of the TFT meta feels right now?
I think the meta itself feels like it's diverse. It feels like there's a lot of different comps you can play and a lot of different ways to play the game within like a certain framework though. And that's kind of issue I think a lot of people have with the game. It's not like the meta is you can only play one thing. Like you can literally only play Forgotten, or you can literally only play Yasuo. It's not like there's only 2 comps to play. It's just that the meta is restricting in this kind of one way to play the game around these vertical synergies. And that does kind of make the game feel bad to play right now. But at least within that framework, like I was like writing down, oh, this is the comps I'm looking at playing for mid set, and I was like, there's like 10 different comps in here that are all viable, and it's like there's a lot of viable comps. It's just that all those comps fit into this kind of one way of playing around vertical synergies, and that makes the meta feel not great. But it's just the fact that the meta is diverse means the game's not in like a terrible spot, or like the meta's not in that bad of a spot.
Yeah, we've definitely seen a decline in flex play overall in the last couple of months. But like you said, it is nice that there are so many different comps that we can actually see win or top 4 in a lobby. And now, like you mentioned, you have the mid-set finale coming up in just a couple of days. You actually qualified through the Nightbringer Cup. Now, this is interesting because it's not the first time that you've actually had tournament success that's led you to another qualifier. You qualified for the Nightbringer Cup by doing well in the Dawnbringer Cup, and you had the regional 9th place run by competing in the last chance qualifier. You almost made it to World, being one of the last players to just come in through a tournament result. Why is it that you have so much success in tournament, even when you aren't near the top of the ladder?
I think so much about the mental prep that goes into tourneys. Like I'm in day to day, like my routines have gotten kind of iffy during the pandemic, but night before a tournament, I'm like, okay, we're actually like getting some good food into my body. We're going to get a good night of sleep. I'm going to go in. I'm going to just feel good about myself and go in like feeling confident, but not like cocky. I think that's how I've gotten by in a lot of these tournaments. I really take the time to like mentally prep, get myself in a good headspace. And I also kind of know like I have to have this tournament success because my ladder success isn't super consistent. Like I can hit like rank 4 or whatever, but it's kind of hard for me to maintain that all the time. And this set especially, like getting ladder success in was really rough going at first. Like I was finding myself hard stuck Masters for a long time. I didn't really hit Challenger until like a month in, and then it took like another month to really maintain that. So it's like knowing that the tourneys are my route to get to regionals, knowing I can't rely on snapshots because I'm not a ladder god like some of the other players are. I know I have to be in a good mental space for tourneys in order to succeed, and so I really do my best to put myself in that good mental space. And I mean, I think it's been working out pretty well.
Yeah, I would definitely agree. Do you feel like because you are one of the few non-binary competitors that are really at the forefront of TFT, do these tournament results carry extra burden or an extra weight on you?
I think so to some extent, and that's a burden I'm almost like I'm more than okay taking that burden on. That's what I've been kind of telling myself as a like semi-prominent figure in the scene who is like very openly queer, very openly non-binary. Like I know I'm pretty much the queer representative for TFT at this point. And I know like me having success in any form is going to be it's going to be huge for any other queer players, any non-binary players that are looking at this. Like they're looking for someone who's like them to kind of like latch onto and cheer for. So I know like if I have this tournament success, then that helps to inspire other queer non-binary players, or even if I'm just streaming and putting myself out that way and drawing those queer players in through my stream. I know like I am the queer rep for TFT, and I'm the person who, by existing and doing well, shows the other queer players there's someone like you in this. Like you can kind of hit the same levels, and people aren't going to like treat you like garbage. And I feel very lucky that the community has been so accepting and supportive of me. So it definitely feels like it carries weight. And like I said, I'm more than happy to carry that weight because this has been a thing I've consciously think about even with like teaching, which is what I want to do like outside of TFT. Like I want to be the queer teacher that's the inspiration to queer kids. So it's a burden I'm more than happy to carry on.
Now, on the flip side of that, do you feel like that there's more that the community could be doing at large to support queer players in the scene?
I think the community does a lot already. Like I'll be in Twitch chats, and some transfer will show up, and the streamer and a bunch of the other chats like, hey, we do not want that here. That's not okay. And it's not even me really speaking up in ways like that. And that feels really good just for me, knowing like I don't have to do literally everything around here. And also knowing like, hey, the other people showing support, that signals to other queer people who happen to be around, hey, I don't have to do everything around here either. Like I don't have to stick up for myself. I have the community that supports me. And something else I noticed, the casters of a lot of these events they've been really good about my pronouns during tournaments and on streams and stuff. But I've noticed, and I think Twitch chat has too, they started defaulting to they them pronouns for people whose pronouns they don't know. So something like that is like, okay, that's a huge deal, because I think that's a problem that gaming and TFT have right now, of like the default is everyone's a guy. Like if a lot of streamers, when they're referring to like some other players, like, oh, how'd this guy hit Zyra 3 so early? Like, oh, this guy has a really strong board. That's that being the default. I think that's the biggest thing that can change our perception of like the default player as being just a guy. Like it changing that does a lot for like our perception of people, and then we don't just assume like, hey, this person showing up in my chat, like they're just a guy. That's the main thing. It's definitely important to not just assume everyone that shows up is just one gender, and then that becomes more inclusive for like even just women who show up. Like cis women, I feel like they still feel that way of like, oh, it just gets assumed they're guys. Like, oh, but I'm a woman in this game. Like, not everyone here's a guy, and especially for trans people, like, when trans people showing up and just getting referred to as a guy, like it hurts in real life, and it does kind of hurt in game too. So I think that's the main thing that I would love to see change.
Yeah, and I would say, obviously it's great that largely your experience has been positive, but it's even better that, we have this platform to just kind of talk about it and figure out what more the community could be doing. And, let's talk a little bit about mid-set coming up, right? It's something that every TFT player has been looking forward to for months now, right? And you have 32 players all coming from all of these different qualification routes, Dawnbringer Cup, Nightbringer Cup. Now, besides you, which players are you expecting to put up a good performance at this tournament?
I think there's the usual suspects of like the usual players who are like, they're good at ladder, they're really good in tourney, like Robin, Spencer, Pocky, Soju. I think we're all kind of expecting them to really show up, GV8 as well. I think the one guy I'm really looking at to like really break out is Aniko. I think Aniko has been kind of up and down ladder for a while now, but has been super consistently high level and hasn't really had a chance to break out in tournament yet until Dawnbringer Cup. Like he couldn't really play anything in set 4 or 4.5, and now that he has his chance, I'm really looking at him to do really well in MSI, and I think with how he's playing right now, he has a really good shot at moving on to regionals.
Yeah, I know Aniko really put up a crazy performance at Dawnbringer. I remember the final result was something like 4 points above any other lobby leader in the entire tournament. His performance was insane.
Yeah, especially in that lobby. Like I looked at his finals lobby for Dawnbringer Cup. I was like, okay, as Soju, Nubao, and Nico, like I think Sphinx was in that lobby as well, and I was like, okay, this is the group of death. And then Aniko just absolutely smashes it. I'm just like, wow, okay, that happened. Go Aniko. Hell yeah.
Seriously. In a game like TFT, there's obviously a certain level of variance, right? And that's like something a lot of people kind of battle while they're trying to compete in a game like this. And in a tournament setting, you only have so many roles, you only have so many games that you can play. How do you actually keep a strong mental fortitude and a positive attitude throughout a tournament?
I think I really do my best not to like think about the low rolls too much. It's not for me, it's like it already happened. There's no reason to keep dwelling on it and let that hurt my future performance in a tournament. It's just okay, just get that out of the way. It happened. Whatever. I took an 8th. It happens sometimes. What do I need to do for the rest of the tourney? And I remember very specifically in regionals, like I was taking some 8ths in day 2, and I was like, okay, there's no reason to go into panic mode. Like I only need like a 5th place average to move on to day 3, so it's not like I have to take a bunch of first tier just to move on. I was just thinking about my game plan of like, okay, I'm gonna play just super hard for top 4s, get my forts. Even if I just squeak into day 3, I still move on to day 3. That's good enough. I don't need to absolutely dominate a day to like prove myself or anything. I don't care about that. So for me, it's very much just thinking forward, thinking to what I need to do the rest of the tourney. And even on the flip side, sometimes it's like, oh, if I have some good games, like for a lot of Dawn Nightbringer Cup, I was starting out a day with like, oh, I go like 2-2 or 2-1 or get a bunch of points early, and from there I'm just thinking, okay, what's the game plan from here? If I go like 5-5 from here, I'm still pretty much guaranteed. Okay, cool. That's all I need to shoot for. I'm always thinking forward for how I can succeed in tourney.
Now, you recently announced your acquisition by RBG Esports. Have things changed at all since being picked up by a team?
Not. In the moment, not really. It's like, okay, I'm still doing my thing. I'm still just playing tournaments. I kind of just have a tag in front of my name right now. But it's getting picked up is more of a signal for me of my future in the game, because as I'm moving on, like as COVID's winding down, I'm starting grad school in September. And then I know I'm going to be kind of winding down a little bit out of competitive stuff, because I was diving full on into competitive during COVID because I had nothing else to do with my life. And TFT to some extent really did save my life. It gave me a sense of purpose and something to do, and I wasn't just like lying around all day doing absolutely nothing, feeling like super depressed. Like this game gave me it gave me a drive to succeed at something. But as like COVID's winding down, I'm getting into grad school. I know I can't spend all my time on competitive anymore. So that for me in my mind is like kind of winding itself down. I'll still play tournaments. I'll still go out for whatever, but I'm not going to be stressed if I don't have the same tournament success. But what I know is that since I have an org, I have a stream that's it's not pulling in huge numbers, but it is growing. I know I have a future in this game, just like as a streamer and maybe doing some competitive stuff. And that's what being signed signals to me, like that I have a future in this game, even as I move on to other things in my life.
Awesome. And, we were going to kind of talk about long-term goals and plans. Kind of sounds like you touched on that, but is there anything else you kind of wanted to add on to that about maybe your long-term goals within the game or outside of the game as you're pursuing grad school?
Yeah, I think more than anything, I want TFT to be like a part-time job. I told myself, like, as I was picking up steam in the game during COVID, like, okay, it's not going to make me the money of a full-time job, but like this is my full-time job right now, and we'll see how far it goes, and if it ends up being sustainable, like it hasn't been like sustainable as a full-time job of like, oh, I can live on my own and pay rent and pay all my bills just off TFT money. Like that absolutely hasn't happened, and I did not expect it to happen. I always knew there was a very, very small chance that was going to happen, but knowing that, like, okay, this can't be a full-time gig when I'm living on my own. I just want it to be a part-time gig. I want to be something I can like come home from classes, from whatever my regular gig is, to just relax, just have a nice time on stream and make a little bit of money to help pay bills. And going forward, that's kind of all I want. I want to have a good time with this game. I want to still be streaming. I want to still be involved. I still want to be the queer representative for the community, because I know having someone like that is so important for the scene and for just queer people in general. But it's definitely want it to be like a more relaxed approach going forward. But as long as it's like it's a solid part-time gig for me, I'll be more than happy.
Jirachy, I loved hearing all of your insight and just getting to sit down and chat with you. But that's all the questions I have. Is there anything you want to shout out or talk about before we go?
Yeah, shout out to all the friends I've made. I did not expect to really find a community in this game. Like that wasn't on my mind when I started playing, like, oh, I'm going to find friends through this game. It was just, no, I'm just going to start playing. But just the community I found, like the Garchomp U Discord, all the friends I made over there, like the Discords I'm in right now, like all the friends I've made, like Pi, who's basically been my coach since like mid-set 4, like Buzzy and Nico, Kyoko, Slip, like all these people. Like I could spend the next like 10 minutes just naming off friends I've made, but it really just shout out to them. Shout out to all the people who have helped me get better at this game, who have really helped me find my place in this community and in this game. Like TFT and the people I found they really did save my life. So I have nothing but gratitude towards all these people.
That's awesome. That's really, really awesome to hear, Jirachi. And thank you again for coming out and sitting down with me. And for everyone watching, thank you guys for getting all the way through this interview. We've got mid-set finale coming up in just a few days, probably tomorrow by the time this video actually comes out. So make sure you guys subscribe for more TFT coverage and content. I'll see you next time.